Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today I think I want to sit back and do some reflection on the channel, where it's been, where it is right now, and where I want it to be in the future. This is something that I've thought about doing for a while, and I think it's going to be great to finally get some stuff out there that I've thought about for quite some time. And also, as you can probably tell, I have removed my pop figures and some of my action figures for this video specifically so that they don't distract from the message or anything like that. I did allude to some of this in an earlier community post, but I think also putting it in a video can only be beneficial. I thought that maybe we could have a bit of a one-on-one where I try to explain my thought process as of late and stuff like that. And this isn't coming out of nowhere. Like I said, I've been thinking about a lot of this for a while. I also went over some similar points in my I'm Back video back from 2019, but I think I want to go a little more in-depth this time around. So yeah, let's do some reflection. See, I've been reflecting quite a bit on the evolution of my content, from when I started and how I've also evolved as a person. I guess I officially started this channel back in 2013 with my Is Slenderman Real video. I was 14 when I made that video, almost 15, so I was quite young, and obviously I've grown up a lot since then, and I think that's pretty obvious. But something that I've thought about for a while is that in some of my older videos, I could come across as kind of a dick. It was either my way or the highway, and I had some issues with respecting other people's opinions regarding the stories that I covered. I believe I also had the wrong approach when I went into some of these stories that I covered. I used to actively and immediately look for flaws and negatives in those stories, which was not fair to those stories. And I also believe that some of these stories that I covered, where I got, pretty angry and worked up, perhaps my anger regarding those stories was somewhat misplaced. Because, some of the stories that I did cover were just silly internet horror stories written by obviously young authors who were just trying creative writing out. So I look back on that and I think that the sometimes strong reactions that I had towards those stories were quite unwarranted, because a lot of these stories, like I said, were written by young, inexperienced writers, and sometimes they were, not written with a huge audience in mind, but simply written for the authors themselves. I think a lot of these young authors didn't really know what they were talking about when they were writing their stories, because when you're young, you don't really consider a lot of that, and I think that it's also apparent that I have chilled out, quite a bit since my first few videos. I think in a way that was just what YouTube was like back in 2014-15, with a lot of angry rants and reviews. And I'm not saying that content creators who make that type of content are bad people, or that, the people who watch that type of content are bad either. I'm not calling anyone out here or anything like that. I used to watch videos like that, a lot in my youth, and I mean, I still do sometimes. They can be really funny, so I'm not throwing shade at anyone, but I think back then I just played along with that angry character persona with my own videos. People do whatever they want on their channels, I'm not saying otherwise. They're doing their thing, I'm doing my thing, and that's totally fine. Back then, I remember taking everything super duper seriously, regardless of context, and while I went into criticizing a lot of these stories with the intent of making the whole genre of creepypastas better, I look back and I think that some of the stronger and angrier reactions that I had towards some of these stories were perhaps unwarranted in that sense. Because over-the-top, angry shouting can only go so far. And once again, I'm not saying that content like that is bad or anything like that. It can be really funny at times, but looking back, that's just the way that I see things. As in, I wonder if the approach that I took by being so angry and heated with a lot of the stories that I covered was really the right approach when I wasn't really dealing with, high art. And I was a young and pretty angry, cynical, and rather judgmental teenager back then with no real filter, so go figure, I guess. That's not an excuse, it's just providing context. But here is something that I actually do regret when I look back on those videos. Sometimes when I covered some of the stories that I did, I did directly insult authors for their stories and their writing, which, looking back, was not cool, and it's something that I won't do again. I don't think I have done that for years, and I plan on keeping that up. Because obviously I'm gonna keep talking about creepypastas, like, those are not going away. I just want to be nicer and kinder to the authors, and I want to encourage them to try again and do better next time. I want to make sure I keep the criticism strictly to the stories themselves, which I think I have made quite clear over the years, and as my content has evolved. However, if a story has offensive or questionable content in it, then obviously I am gonna call that out. And if I see a story that is bad, obviously I am gonna call that bad. And if an author, outside of the stories has done something that I consider questionable or worth bringing attention to, only in the most extreme of cases, then I will bring attention to that. Otherwise, I just want to keep it strictly to the stories. Otherwise, if I'm covering like movies or video games or stuff like that made by multiple grown people who are charging for money, there I feel like it's a bit different. There I feel like I can level out some more legitimate and possibly harsh or angry criticism towards them. Because there I feel like it's more fair game, if they're charging for money and if they're grown people, capable of understanding and taking legitimate criticism. But yeah, those are some of the reasons why I had quite a bit of trouble with going back and checking out some of my older content, because I was really self-righteous and standoffish in those videos, and I definitely think that in the videos where I got pretty heated, I could have definitely presented myself better, and I think a calmer approach would have no doubt been preferable, so that I could, calmly explain why I didn't like a story or why an author may have done something wrong with their stories in that sense. I just don't want to punch down, you know what I mean? I want everyone involved with the stories that I cover to have fun and learn a little something about writing. I mean, obviously, unless there's like questionable stuff in the stories. That's just the way that I view those older videos, and your thoughts may differ, but that's just the way that I see it, as the channel owner. And like, I'm not saying that I'm never gonna get angry on the channel again, like, that's impossible, but I want to make sure that that anger is, put in the right direction, so to speak. Some of you have also been asking about it, and I did talk about it in the community post that I mentioned earlier, but I did go back and private or unlist a few of my older videos that I consider to be toxic or that I don't really feel comfortable keeping up for personal reasons. I just look back on a lot of those videos and I consider them some of my least favorite because of how worked up I got. Some of them are private, some of them are unlisted, like some of my angrier blind readings from back in the day. Those you can still find if you go on my channel and look through the blind readings playlist. I just, don't really like keeping those videos up because that's not really the type of channel that I want to be today, and I hope that's understandable. I mean, it is my channel at the end of the day. In the past, I sometimes also used some rather rude and unprofessional language in the videos that I did, and I used some words and made some stupid jokes that I certainly wouldn't make today. This wasn't down to malice or anything of that sort, but simply ignorance on my part. And, I'm still learning as a person. I'm only 22, so life has basically just begun for me in the grand scheme of things, right? Swearing is still fine, though. Like, I'm still gonna be swearing, and I think, comedic, over-the-top reactions to some of these stories, like lighthearted comedic reactions to some of the baffling or bewildering writing that I come across, like, that I think is fine, because there, I'm just poking fun at some funny writing, and I think even the authors themselves can look back at that and laugh in that sense, so that I think is fine. But yeah, nowadays I am a lot more conscious and thoughtful with the type of content that I put out there, because that's my responsibility as a content creator, right? And to get down to what I think is really important, if any authors in the past feel that I was rude to them by insulting them for the stories that they wrote, and if they feel that I wronged them somehow with the coverage that I did of their stories, then by all means, if you want to talk things through or talk things out with me or contact me in some way, please don't hesitate to, send me a DM on my social medias or anything like that. I am open to listening and learning, and I don't want anyone to be afraid of messaging me in case they want to talk things out or something like that. So to any authors from the past who are watching right now and who feel that I wronged them by being rude or by insulting them for their stories, I wholeheartedly apologize for that, and I hope that the authors that I was rude and harsh to in the past are doing okay today. So once again, if you want to, and only if you want to, like, none of you have to do anything if you don't want to, but if you want to talk things through with me, then by all means, contact me and we can work something out. I definitely believe in second chances, and I want it to be said here and now, I don't want anyone to fear having their stories being put on this channel, I want it to be a fun experience for everyone involved, so they can maybe learn a thing or two about writing and entertainment as a whole. I just want to foster a positive community, I want authors and people to be able to look back on some of their older works and laugh at how, silly or funny they used to be, so that everyone involved can hopefully look towards a brighter future, So yeah, that's basically all that I wanted to talk about for now, and I think acknowledging these things is only gonna be good in the long run. This is stuff that I've thought about for a while, so it feels great to have finally been able to put it in video form, and I hope that it came across well and was understandable and goes over well with you guys. Thank you so much for watching this video, I really do appreciate it. With that said, I hope that all of you watching have a really good day, and here's to the future. Thanks for watching, everyone. Stay awesome. Goodbye.